What's up, Braz? This is MegaSean45 here, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide. This is a documentary game created by the dude that created the Stanley Parable. This one's a little less silly, a bit more serious. It talks about some content that his friend made. At least that's what I saw when I saw a little bit of gameplay of it. I didn't see the whole thing, though. I wanted to try it out myself because if this dude is like creating a game in dedication to a friend of his, then I had to buy it. You know? This seemed like a lot of compassion was made to making this game. Yeah, I'm facing this way because I'm trying to take off my shoes. I just got back from walking. So, yeah, listen to how echoey the menu is. Alright, now this game is probably not going to be too long. I'm probably going to regret saying that. So, let's get started. Do I have to? I know how the controls are. And that's not my controls because I changed.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide.
No problem.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable. And while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com.
Oh, I know we were doing commentary.
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
But I wasn't done
As
looking
each
at
game
this
is loading,
one.
I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
This was the first one yet. So let me say my opinion. That was pretty interesting. That was a pretty interesting map with the floating crates and stuff. So, Davey makes a good point. Like, what goes on in someone's head when someone creates this? This dude here, who made the Stanley Parable, he's always been a philosophical person, you know? And when I played the Stanley Parable, I had some inspiration out of that too. Like, not just the silliness of how funny it was and how creative those endings were. It just lets you know what the creator meant when he made each of them. Like, it wasn't just a story. Like, each ending provided a lesson. You know? Like, lessons of choice. Lessons of wanting to be ahead, or wanting to be together, wanting to just stop and relax, or wanting to keep going and like try to prove yourself, you know? That's why I had such inspiration when I played Stanley Parable. And now this seems to be a pleasant experience that we're about to go in as we play this. That's exactly why I wanted to record this. This isn't really a real video game. Did that sound insulting? But no, this is like more of a interactive documentary. And I wanted to share it with all of you because it seems like Davey really wanted to go somewhere with this. So, I'm hoping till I'll maybe convince others to experience this too. So, my suggestion to you is to not watch me play this. Just stop the video right now and get this game yourself. Because this is good. This is something you'd probably want to experience yourself. Something you really want to grasp on about. Like, really listen and interact with the world in some way. Like, I hope there'll be ways to, like, interact with these maps and not just, listening and looking around. I want to be able to touch stuff. You can't get that in any museum. I want to touch everything. That's all. I bet that gives Davey an idea for a game. That seems like an ending for Stanley Parable. The touch ending. An ending where you have to touch stuff. Alright, so let's go see this other game made by his friend. Alright, Coda. Show me what you got, bruh.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Oh, looks like we're having FPS now, huh? Pew pew! It looks like there's unlimited ammo, too. I guess my interact key and my... Oh no, I'm out of ammo already! Well, I hope that doesn't bite me in the bum later. I guess this is supposed to be fire or something. Hey, it's the Half-Life Episode 2 alarm when the Striders were getting close to the base. Alright, so what are we gonna get out of this? What is the Whisper Machine?
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized.
Alright, well, what do you got then? What is your theory, Davey boy? Outer space. Kind of look. Oh wow, what's that down there? How much? Is that the end? Are we reached the end of space?
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Well, I love that too. How many alarms are here? There's like 3. Are you gonna talk about the alarms at all? There's like 3. It seems like more effort was put into the alarms than the actual game itself. You know? And the music too. I'm liking the sound
effects. The space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
But, oh, hey! You could have given me a choice! Man! I thought you were big on choice! Okay, well this is very anti-Stanley Parable.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, that sounded like the door open sound effect from Halo.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all.
Well, could I?
Is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam.
Oh, my body can do
It's
that?
sorry to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Well, it's my body. It's my choice. Oh, this game's not very pro-choice at all. Huh. Very anti-Stanley Parable, huh? Yeah, well, what if I don't want to use my body to save everyone else? Maybe I just want everyone to die, and then I live...
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Fine. That's how the way you want to be.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Back to the beginning? Well, outside the room? Or do you have to, or are you asking me to go in again? Now that's interesting. The give yourself thing. I'm guessing this is I'm guessing Davy's friend here is quite philosophical too. Like, would you do it? Would you give yourself to save everyone else? Gives meaning on sacrifice. But then again, who are we sacrificing ourselves for is the question. Like, why would I want to sacrifice myself to people I don't know? But would I do it for people I don't know? Because who was that lady? Is she even real? Because she was just a voice. She could have been just an intercom. Or maybe she was the bad guy. Maybe she was the bad guy for all we knew. The evil villain. Maybe she was one with the aliens who were abducted, and then they tried to encourage me to go into the beam. But really, going into the beam doesn't save everyone. It fucks everything up pretty much. So that's what I was thinking though. But let's see what Davey has to say about it. Whee! Is this what dying is like? Is this what dying is like?
Causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place.
That's what I was
juxtaposed
thinking.
Against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Alrighty then, let's do it. And this is November of 2008 as well. This reminds me of that one screensaver with the brick walls and everything. The past was behind her.
So try walking backwards. Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh, wow. Ah, I see. And the past was behind her. Ah. Oh, and we're going behind? So if the past was behind her, why are we all walking backwards? Is the past going to repeat itself? Oh, hey, I can see the, I can see the end of the universe again. Oh, this must be Mater's favorite level. I need some rear view mirrors on my shoulder. What?
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
But the future cannot be seen. Well, you thought you were able to see it from way over there, but once you get here, you just can't see it. Maybe just being able to see it from a distance is only like a vision, imagination, basically. Why does the future keep changing? Time travel? When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. But the future is always behind her. How will she find the strength to confront it? And then the door disappears.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
And they're all in November of 2008? Is this an only backwards one too? Oh, okay, so we could move forward this time. Oh, but we still can't see up ahead. We can only see what the spotlight sees now. What's your philosophy here, Coda? Coda boy? Where are you trying to get here now? You are now entering... I'm entering! I'm entering! I'm entering! What exactly am I entering? Oh, can I go back? Will the sign be there? Yeah, alright, so nothing's changed. I was thinking maybe there'll be an Easter egg or something, but this is just a documentary, so probably not. Probably what we see is what we get.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Oh, now we're at December.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Force it upon him. And like you've been forcing me to go into a particular direction, Davey, huh? Is this the stairway to heaven? I wonder how many players said that as they were climbing these stairs. It's either stairway to heaven or highway to hell. Oh, and we're getting tired.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Well, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I want to play the game how it was intended, Davey. So I wouldn't have to maybe I wouldn't want to change. Just want to keep it like this. Okay, back to full speed then. Just shut up, Davey. Shut up. Shut up. Don't judge me.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
No, it's like
Coda
my
would often
ideas
tell me
notepad.
that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
That is so interesting, actually. Stand on an X staring at that bed. What? I didn't even finish reading it all yet. Oh, it's a fishing. Morning. That's time for fishing, ain't it? Morning. Nice day for fishing, ain't it? Morning. Nice day for fishing, ain't it? So when do we get to fish?
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Can't go back up, though. But you know what's cool about this game? This game has one thing that Stanley Parable doesn't have. And that's jumping. Try to press spacebar so many times and try to activate sticky keys. Ooh. That fog and stuff. And I close the door like that and... Is there anything over here? So this is a puzzle then?
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Alright. No, I see what you're doing here. So close the door from the outside, revealing a lever. So basically what you're saying here, philosophical-wise, is like, once you close one door, another opportunity arises for you to open another door. I mean, that one's pretty obvious. Well, that looks like a surprise face, like where you'd see on a little cartoony block or something. I'm watching you, see if your face changes or not. Oh, can I go back up? Apparently not. So am I gonna get to close this door and arise another one? Another opportunity?
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Why? But I didn't press enter that time. Jeez. You must have added a lot to this.
There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Oh, now we're back here again. Oh, wow, we're at chapter 6? There's chapters here? Alright, so we're back to this game again. So what point are you trying to make? Oh, you are exiting now. You are now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
The plan, Stan. The great and lovely Decent. That house looks tiny from a distance, so somehow I got the feeling once we walk over to it, it's still gonna be tiny. Oh, no. No. It's normal size.
Let's talk about video game development
for
a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The streetwise fool!
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Koda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Koda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
You know, even though it's a boxy corridor, I'd eat here. I'd eat at this place. This place is nice. This looks like a nice, relaxing cafe. The streetwise fool. Can I use this name in any of my works? Like maybe I'll add this to many of my works as dedication to him. Maybe. Hey, I won't do it until Davey says yes, or if his friend says yes. So hey, if either of them say yes, just shoot me an email or a comment or something, and I'll do it. Alright? We don't even have to pay each other. We don't have to trademark it. It's just a nice little dedication to add to it, you know? Because Davey, your friend seems to be a very interesting person, you know? Making all these. I like the lights. Look, the square things. I love the square things. What are the square things? No idea. And it had a little handicap bathroom, too. Alright, so what else can we see here? Oh, back to the staircase again. But before that, what's back here? No? Alright. Want to check out everything. We got ourselves a nice little kitchen here. I love the carpet. No, I want this kind of carpet for my living room or something, because this carpet kind of reminds me, hey, we're on a cruise ship or something. Oh, now I want to go on a cruise. Davey, your friend made me want to go on a cruise. I'll go on one. Can he pay for it, or can you pay for it? Well, going downstairs is definitely easier than going upstairs. Makes me think of an interesting philosophy. If going downstairs is easier than going upstairs, I mean, it's easier to trip too, but also people disliking each other is way easier than people liking each other, you know? And it's way easier to tripping but when you like each other, you go upstairs and then you trip down. Ooh, you only land on that first step. So if you trust each other enough, then that trip won't hurt that much. But if things are going downstairs for your relationship, and then you trip over, and then you go all the way down and fall like right on the floor down there, and it'd be so much more painful. That's an interesting philosophy I just made up there. Boing. Boing. The wonderful thing about Tiggers. Tiggers a wonderful thing. The tops are made of rubber. The tops are made of springs. Oh, wow, I almost fell. Can I take fall damage? Oh, I thought I was gonna slide down that time. Whee! So we went from the streetwise fool to some sort of blocky world where we're going down. Well, to be honest, the stairs thing I made an interesting philosophy out of, but to be honest, I'm not really so sure about this one. And I don't want to just fall into the abyss. Oh, I guess I just did. Oh. I guess that goes to show you just gotta take a leap of faith. And some things, in some places in life, you'll be taking some shortcuts. Or you'll be taking the slow way down. But hey, you get more experience that way. Now that's an interesting philosophy. Man, I am good, Sean. Better pat yourself on the back for a job well done at making these philosophies. You are smart, Sean. You are smart. Oh, shucks. You flatter me. So I should try to keep track of these chapter names. Chapter 7, down. I don't know what the other chapters were called, though. And we don't get to see the light in the middle. How unfortunate. Because I wanted to touch it. You get the touch ending. Oh, wow. You look up, you see just abyss. Like white abyss. It was just black abyss with blocks earlier. Now it's white abyss. Man, everything just keeps changing. Oh, no turning back now. Oh, now we're in jail. So am I finding my cell then? Am I in jail? I'm in jail, aren't I? I can't go any other way.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Well, why couldn't we enjoy that? So I wonder what that could have meant. What's the philosophy of the jail cell? I guess like you're playing a game. You're a prisoner of your own of a video game. Like you playing video games is like a prison, and you're just gonna waste your time for hours on end. Sometimes staying in the same parts until you finally move on. Like, you know, playing Halo on Legendary sometimes. Well, that's what I got out of that. Wasn't as interesting as my stare philosophy, though.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable. Whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Oh, how unfortunate. So, but what does this prison have anything to do with the cafe? Streetwise fool. You go to a cafe and you end up going so downhill that you end up in jail. Was it like something in the coffee or something? And then something goes spiraling downward until you finally go to jail. And then after jail you start going even more downward. Where are you getting at, Coda? What's your secret? Tell me your secrets, bruh. I want them. I want them! Oh, this area looks a lot more peaceful, though. Hey, there's that surprise face again! What does this face mean, though? Davey, I hope you're going to go somewhere with this face. Because that's gotta mean something. Why is this bunker here so surprised to see me?
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
And there's the black fog in there, too. So close.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Well, I'm already giving you mine. So you keep spiraling downward, and then if you just close the door on your past, you will eventually see another door open for your future. Is that it? I mean that kind of plays on on that other philosophy I had with the door. And then so you got a new opportunity. So we're in a nice red and black room. I don't know what that means. I mean, I guess it feels a little bit Star Wars-y. So after you close the door on your past and open it to the future, you get Star Wars? I'm still going downhill, you know. Oh, is this a courtroom? Why is there a gas range in the courtroom? Why is there a wardrobe in a courtroom? You there, did you
Here,
come from...
Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
What should I say? Yes, there was a world stamped with whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Well, that's a lie, because I haven't. Yes, there were these floating colored blocks. You know what? I think the colored block seems more hopeful. Did you have to get through the puzzle with the 2 doors and switches? Yes, that was literally the last thing I did before coming here. No, I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. I prefer not to tell you. After all, we just met. Yeah, I think I'll probably do that one. You think you want to get through, but trust me, you don't. Let me describe it for you. Let me tell you all about what is over there. Alright, I will tell you how to solve it. Okay, let's do the describe thing. No, that isn't possible enough. I need to actually be there. I cannot be simply told. I must see it for myself. I must escape this prison. There must be an ending. Oh, the little blocks change from listen to speaking. Oh, so what could this mean? So... maybe you don't want to know what's up. Maybe you don't want to know what's up there because you're trying to get to know me. But I don't want to tell you about my past because we just met. You wouldn't understand. I wouldn't feel comfortable talking to you about it. Yes. Maybe. Am I starting to understand you, Coda? Am I starting to understand that you don't want to talk about your past? You want to just keep moving on to the future? But these 3 are you, Davy. And you're trying to get to Coda. But Coda doesn't want to talk much about it. I see now. I am so glad I bought this game. I could be wrong, though. Oh, we're back in here again. So we're going to be going in circles and talking about the same thing until I eventually tell you. No, I've been... How did you get here? Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? No, I've been right here this entire time. No, we actually find the black space between the doors far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Why would I care about the space between doors? Actually, now that you mention, I remember feeling this strange as I passed through it. I don't recall the space between the doors. Don't think too hard about it. You'll see it again soon. What are you trying to get at, judges? Oh, we're going downstairs again. We're still going down, it seems.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Oh, man. I'm starting to get exhausted thinking about all this. And then we end up back home.
It's a lamppost.
Oh.
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, He's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Then let's get to it then. What's the next one, my man? Oh, that's interesting. Well, where can I leave notes? Nice room. Not. I wonder who said that. Well, can I leave some notes? How do I leave?
First off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by code.
Oh, come on!
This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think
have to
I
be
was
friends with
probably
everyone.
a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over enthusiastic.
Hey,
But he was
I know
very
that
gracious
feeling.
about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
So he made this? I wanted to leave a note. I thought this was connected to the interwebs. I'm disappointed. I mean, don't get me wrong, the game's interesting. It's just that I really wanted to leave a note. Okay, which of
Feel
these...
free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them.
Well, I
Either
want-
way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection.
Well,
I felt as though he was inviting me personally
Can't see
into his
everything.
world. And then I feel less lonely too.
wow. Which of these speech bubbles is gonna have a dick on it? I know one of these is gonna have a dick on it at some point. Okay, balls. Close. Come on, which one is gonna have an 8 and equals 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 capital D? Is there enough equalses, or do there have to be more? Because there's definitely gotta be more equalses if you're not impressed by it. See what I did there? I'm gonna still read them all. So, it's probably gonna take a while, so. Probably this whole thing isn't gonna be in the entire video. This whole game. But we'll see. We'll see what I can do here. Oh, free t-shirt! Alright. Well, some doors are not meant to be opened, you know? I mean, try going to Disney World and going to one of those closed doors, and then they're just going to ban you at the park for life. Unless you do one of those paying tours. You know what? I hope I will too, Brad. I hope I will too. Wow. Eh, don't bother. I still don't. I don't see the dick one yet. This is where I get a nice G-Man reference. I want to add a speech bubble in here. I don't want to skip. I want to read them all. Cabbage shapes our nation. Ah, so, Russia then. No, sorry, that's vodka. Probably Siberia then. Yeah, I like this game too. I think I'm not going anywhere. Next time I'll do better. That's the spirit. So he wrote all these, huh? So don't listen to the other notes. That means don't listen to you either, right? I'm not safe. Aren't any of us safe? Who did it? Ooh, nice circle art. Fake it. Run a direction. Fake it. You don't belong here. Fake it. Run a direction. Whoa, you're such a fucking hypocrite. That's right, I'm gonna read them all. I don't care about this. I don't care if this. I mean, because this is all pretty interesting. Painting. What does it mean? Whoever made this has issues. Is he saying that he himself has issues? Art. Hey guys, how's it going? Just hanging. Art. It's just. I like that one. Just art. I hope you can read that. I hope my face isn't in the way. They probably are dots. Is this stress going on in his brain, maybe? We all will die someday. Hey, there's another cabbage one. I can start counting the cabbage ones. Oh, stop pretending you are other people. Wow. Is that him talking to himself? Did I just see that one? Devil Tower Star. Where's the cabbage one? He was himself the most horrible creature he could imagine. Jesus. Wow. Good job for beating the game. Think this part, yeah. Sounds to me you just ended it here and then said you beat the game.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
That's what I said, kinda, sorta. But it was pretty obvious. You know what? I wish there were notes in the real world, too. There's that face again! What do you mean? Why are you following me? Are you G-Man? Are you the little test twins? What are you, surprise face that's following me everywhere?
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
I solved it pretty fast. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Wow, and there's only one note here. Only one of you made it? How do you leave notes? I was asked, what? That's my little bubble right there. Too bad there was no GIF one, though. There's the light post again, and there's a lot of typewriters. Everyone leaving notes and stuff. Are you there? Please say something. Whoa. I'm speaking. Whoa. Telling me to speak so much. Where's my treat? I didn't get my porn stars.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Wonder what's gonna kill this porn star here. Falling off the cliff? Falling in the well? Well, maybe we'll die in here from starvation. Bubbles! The round things. Oh, there's the surprise face again. Oh, they're all the surprise face. They're all the surprise face. I kind of wonder, what's the surprise face gonna mean, Davey? Where are you gonna go at with this? There's more surprise faces now. Oh, we gotta go in a circle now? Keep going through staircase? Oh, now we're going outside. Oh, now we're in the whale.
This is it, the whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Oh, now there's no furniture. There's the well again. What furniture ought to go to the center? Oh, alright. TV with surround sound. That's a coffee table. The wall of the room. 10 stoves. Now I can cook so many things. Those are sofas. It's not gonna matter, so Tulsa coils in each corner. Tables were invented in 1935. Well, I was not born in 1935, so it could be for all I know. Oh, hey, there's my sofas.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Oh, no, wait. No, where are my ovens?
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over, This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello, please walk forward. No, what if I don't want to? What if I want to walk backwards? Like that other game, huh? Take care that you remember each step. Oh. Oh, instructions. There's a surprise face again. Oh, finally, we get to touch something. Return to the start to be taken to your prison. What? You know, you're asking me to go to prison? You're asking me to be excited about it? Well, at least the lights are round this time. At least I got to touch something finally. I love me touching stuff. Touching a lot of stuff here. Well, there's no well this time. Oh, there's the well.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on?
I saw the door again.
Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
The light post. So the light post is basically saying that he's done with this. He feels enlightened. Huh? Oh, it's a phone booth. Ah, the TARDIS. Alright. Doctor?
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I hope I'm not lying to him. They just talk to me for a while. I think that's pretty inspirational, because sometimes just talking to someone would help someone not feel like they're mentally in prison, you know? It's a way to escape. Just feeling like you're out of there would be something. It will make sense. There. Yes, let's talk. I will be here. You will always be there for yourself.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So
wow.
What would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Wonder where we're gonna go with this. I don't know how many chapters there are. Alright, so chapter 10, house. Where are we gonna go out with this? Somebody talking to him that's not himself. Could it be
To
Davey
me, this
himself?
environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
This place is nice, so I want to check out this one first. Oh.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Oh, great. I start playing a video game to avoid doing chores, and now I end up doing chores anyway. I gotta say, this is a nice place, though. I like it. Hey, the carpet matches the, drapes. The, cafe. Ooh, fancy. It's a bathtub that has the faucet on the wall over here instead of over here or over here. There's a toilet flush. Fine, I'll make the bed. Wow, you folded them nice too. That's better folded than what I can do, that's for sure. We're having a decent conversation, and I'm gonna clean the couch now. So what? Is this how he meets his wife or something? You know, it's your job. Why are you making me do it? I think I might know what this is. It's not so much a cleaning story. It's more of a, you know, get to know me a bit. Let's do some stuff together, or do some stuff for me, and maybe I'll be more inclined to share stuff with you and feel ever closer to you. Make it especially cheesy. making it's a little humor. Oh, I guess me not taking it seriously. Oh. Personal insight, so... I guess I said the wrong thing. Oh, cleaning the bathroom. Definitely not something I want to do. Don't ever ask me to clean bathrooms. I'm not that good at it, and it's not fun either. Where are them books? Where are them books, huh? Where are them books? Oh, here. Oh, here. I thought we already cleaned the dishes off.
Prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Nothing's digested in me because I'm hungry. Cleaning the table, I didn't even eat anything. Got some leftover Thanksgiving I want. Yeah, let's be reliable. Relatable. Do these chores ever end?
I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Wow. Okay, I trusted you. You told me to trust you with the rug, and now you're asking me to clean the tub again. You see, that's why I don't like cleaning. It just ends up getting all dirty again. Not a big fan of starting over. You care for it, and it takes care of you. Anyway. Yeah, I gotta clean the books again. When are you gonna ask me to clean the table again? Who keeps messing up everything?
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Answer.
But, of course, it can't last.
Hey!
The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well.
Oh, so I couldn't go...
You can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
What would happen if I do stay? Geez, the music's stopping and everyone's gone, and we're going to a dark area. This feels like a dream. This feels like a dream I once had. Like it's so peaceful at one point, and then it becomes... Man, this whole area, this whole thing feels like a dream. What if I do stay in here for too long? I guess I can't stay here for too long, meaning that I really can't because there's nothing to do. So the door is now opened, huh? And there's the light again. But where's my companion? I was enjoying that. I mean, yeah, it was that the chores were getting all tedious and stuff, but I was just getting to know her. And now she's gone? This feels just like in my dreams.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
To be honest, I didn't really understand it
This one gets a bit
much.
goofy.
Came here. Oh, so it's like that one Courage the Cowardly Dog episode, huh? Okay,
About
so
halfway through the
tell us
game,
about
the
it.
perspective shifts.
Oh. Kids should not
And you
fall.
play
No,
as the
definitely.
teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Ah. And I see the light post again, so this game isn't going to be that long. This is key how I achieve it with no effort. On the way to work, I told an elderly person to start contributing to society. Kids should not follow their dreams. Kids should definitely follow their dreams. I don't know why that's there. Well, let me tell you right. I still love you. It's just that. So he seems to want me to say something. What if I don't follow him? But I feel like I have to keep going. You know? Like I feel like I can't go. I feel like I don't want to say the other stuff. I want... Oh. So it's like you wanna be like... There's other stuff that you want to say, but you just want to say the most common stuff. Is that it? Is that what... Like for so long, there's people in my past that I really want to, like, insult so bad or, like, pretend that they weren't real. But then, what if I go up to them and just act all friendly? Like these are people that I don't like. People that have caused me so much problems in the past, but I feel like I just want to give them what they deserve, you know? Just really tell them off. Let all this burden inside me, that they gave me, just let them feel how I felt. But then you go up to them, and then you just can't help but be all friendly, you know? It's weird. Like you really just you don't want to cause any more problems. You just want to let it go and move on. Maybe not exactly be friends, but you know, the past is the past.
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Oh, I didn't get to
think
pick
about this game a lot these days.
So I didn't get to go up to the light post
This one
that
took
time.
a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
I didn't really get to move on the other one, and I didn't get to pick whichever perfection I wanted. Oh, guess it's time. Is this one gonna be about stage fright, or is it about like trying to be perfect in front of everyone? You have to like show your best self to everyone as if you're always going on stage. Is that what this one's gonna be about? So we're at January 2010 now, so kind of wonder. He stops making games at 2011, right? So. Oh, this is me not wanting to go on stage because I'm too afraid of being social. Or maybe I just want to look around and just admire the architecture a bit. There's a lot of stage cases and a lot of ladders. Where are you going at with this one? Well, there's nobody even here. Oh, wow, that's bright. This scene you'll be playing as me. Oh, so I get to be cool. Oh, sunglasses. Sunglasses. Okay. Something to her. That was the bathroom. Da 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 da. Well, I'm not you. Well, why am I... Well, I'm not you! I'm not you! How am I supposed to know what you say? Who are you anyway? What are you trying to get at with this? What are you trying... And there's the light post again. What, we're already done with this one? So what was this one about? Like, we're trying to be someone we're not? Is that it? Backstage. Oh, and now I'm in jail again. Do I have to wait an hour again? Okay, so what was the point? You try to be someone else, and then you're trapped inside your own mind, trying to be somebody else. But no matter how hard you try, you just can't escape and be the person everyone encourages you to be.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away.
Wow.
Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. It looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer.
I think it's getting darker. Damn.
But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Wow. You know, I can really relate to that other one. Because usually I try so hard to make friends, and then once it starts not going so well, most of the time, like it works sometimes, but I let all those other times get the better of me, and so I distance myself from meeting anyone else, saying hello to people on the street or wishing them happy holidays, afraid of rejection, afraid of being ignored. So I can feel for that. One. Hey, we're in space again! Wait, can I see the end of the universe again? Oh, we're on the Whisper ship again! Boom. Oh, we're here again? Oh.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise.
Well, how do I open my eyes?
And there is a solution, by the way.
So everyone's blind now? Well, how do I open my eyes? So everyone's blind, huh? So how do I don't know yet. I'm trying to find... wow. So is it trying to be a leader, but everyone else doesn't know what to do either, so... Where do I go? How do I open my eyes, though? So there's truth right over here. Oh, so I gotta tell the truth. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep banging into the door again, being in this infinite loop here.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
We're going to be okay. Is this you? That was deep.
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Wait, what happened to the light post? There was no light post this time. I'm speechless right now, really. So I'm going from island to island. Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to everyone. What's wrong? You look lost. Completely out of ideas. Oh no! What happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going, and it stopped. Wow, that breathing. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. I need to see it to know why it stopped. Well, his creative juices are still kind of flowing if he's still making these games. You know, sometimes I feel the same way when I'm working on my stories.
Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations. This one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
I pressed 3. It didn't say deal. But regardless, this place is relaxing. Are we in China?
Because from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Okay, first you have to open the door. Oh, it's white fog now, not black fog. Now you have to close the first door. Oh, so now I'm explaining how to do it. So is this person, like, you know, trying to get me out of my shell? I'm trying to, like, you know, teach what I know.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Is it really? What? Wow. I put my anxieties in my work, like my movies and stuff, and Harmony Bros, but I don't want it to fail. I want it to share. I want to share it with the world. I'm not gonna keep it with myself. Do I hear crying? I think I hear crying. Well, these are the other words I said in the other games. Whoa.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so wrong. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
Wait, is that the prison? Is that the So that was crying.
But it didn't stop.
Who was that?
After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
Welcome, my son. Welcome to the machine. Wow. So where's this going at? I'm intrigued. I just don't want to stop. I want to keep going. Wait, this friend of yours is a lady? I didn't know Coda was a lady. Coda. Oh wow, this is probably gonna be me after I release my work, you know. After I release my first movie, maybe not my first movie, but after a few movies, this might be my life, you know. The people are just constantly asking me questions, and you know, it's probably gonna be like that while I'm actually making the movies too, because if I'm gonna lead my own movies, so many people are gonna be asking me questions, and I don't want it to stop being fun, because I enjoy making movies. But, you know, making movies is a big responsibility, and being afraid that I might not be able to handle it, that's like a big fear of mine. When will I get the answers? That aren't we all asking that question? When will we get the answers, Braz? The wizards know. But I don't. Is this you, Davey? You asking all these questions? There's the surprise face again.
And of course, it's the machine.
So that's what the face is. The face is the machine. I'm not gonna No, apologize. Oh, we're back to the stage now. Man, Davey's really good at creating these illusions. This is definitely something out of our dream. It's the gun from the space game again. Is this the finale? Is this it? Final boss? The machine? I don't see
Remember,
a machine.
you can click to fire the gun.
Yeah, I know that, but... Oh! Oh! Yes, Coda, I'll make sure you are known forever. Isn't that what you're scared of? Exposed to the view of others every day, forever, seen in naked clarity?
So now the work is becoming self-destructive.
Oh, shit.
And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself.
Oh, it is a he.
I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realized that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
I hope we're not going to be also destroy... This is the top of the staircase level. Are we going to destroy that cafe too? Streetwise fool? Because I definitely don't want to destroy that place. I want to take that place home with me. I want that place to be a permanent part of the Shroomiverse. Streetwise fool. I like that name of it.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
Oh, and there's the light post again. Do I want to destroy the machine? Or should we be actually just respecting the machine? Respect of the work it gives us from what little time we have. And don't worry about the... And it's probably the opinion of others that would help make your work good or better or bad. Depends. I don't know. I'm just blabbering on, but, you know. Stay true to yourself. Are you sure we should destroy the machine?
I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need. To be told that my work is good. That I am good.
You are good.
When someone really connects with the thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good. Like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Well, let's play it. Best for last, huh? Alright, Coda. Let's make it your best. Or even if it's not the best, it's still yours.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
No kidding, there's snow everywhere. Dang. I have... Wow. Just wow. So many emotions put into so many games.
This room actually has a maze in it.
Oh, jeez!
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all.
Wow.
But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Wow, now this part would give so much anxiety. This would give the Get Over It game a run for its money. Oh, whoops! Wow, I can hear some echoing from alarms and stuff. Probably stuff from the other games that Coda made.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
So, but basically it could be about, like, you know, the stress of feeling so distant. Like, he doesn't want to be distant. He wants to find a way to get past it, but he just doesn't. He ends up going into invisible walls. Walls that he doesn't know are even there, but they still stop him. And the codes, trying to guess each one. It's so frustrating, trying to guess the answers to his problems. At least that's my interpretation of it. I'm not him. I'm not Coda. So I can't answer the question. I wish I could. But then again, don't you wish you could too, my friend? So what's the next infuriating part? The next infuriating puzzle? Because it seems like there's a lot of them on here.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first two challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely. Just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
Thanks, bruh. Wow.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game?
No.
I don't know why I would be. It's
You're
not
not.
like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean.
That's what I want to know.
And he wouldn't.
Wow. Makes me wonder if he just doesn't trust you with it, or does he just not trust himself? Now, I'm not saying this to be insulting to you, dude. It's just thinking, you know?
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
I don't know what to say, bruh.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did.
What did you do, though?
I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... It felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
Well, is he making the games for you?
And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
So, is this whole video game here against their wishes? Oh, so you're the one adding the lampposts. Was it bad that I bought this game then? That's why I start to wonder.
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean? I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
There's no switch this
That's
time.
why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
I'm speechless. What's going on? This game has a much deeper meaning in it. Davey, my man, you clever son of a bitch.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
What are you trying to say, Davey? Does Coda even exist? Or is this you? Is Coda just you? Is Coda like a part of you?
Solution.
So you're always just finding a solution for yourself.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Maybe this is something for us not to understand. Just something for him to keep to himself. Well, now I don't want to use Streetwise Fool as a
Even
cafe
now,
anymore.
The disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
I don't want to use Streetwise Fool as a cafe of the Schumerverse anymore. Now I don't want to do it. Now I don't want it. I'll make my own cafe. I'll use something else. Now I don't want to do it. You know? Now it's kind of making me feel bad for even recording this. What point are we trying to make now, huh?
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be?
Man, this project must be...
It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
I don't even know what those words mean.
What now?
Man, I really don't feel like I need to say anything. This is just speechless, you know? I really don't know what to say, Braz. I just want
I
to...
think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Oh, we heading back to the Counter-Strike map? Nope, nope, this is different. Man, I had to stop and pause so I can use the lavatory real quick because I really gotta pee, but I don't wanna miss anything. I wanna know what's next. I don't got a lot of time left. Gotta go do some dinner. Leftover Thanksgiving dinner. Gotta use the lavatory. Wow, there's not even a chapter name and there's no skip this level. Yep. Good thing I don't take full damage. So I wonder if Coda was your inspiration to make the Stanley Parable in the first place. Man, I'm so hungry. Oh, we're back in the train station again? Imagine just being in this huge empty room and then having to just randomly sit on a bench here, you know? This place feels so empty and bright. Wonder if that's how you felt, Davey. Wait, is that the... No. Is that thing from the first space level? We go in there and we start floating? Is that what that is? Is that what that is over there? I got the feeling that got the feeling that's gonna be that. I'm gonna start floating out of the map. Yep, I knew it. Yeah, don't we all feel like this sometimes? Wow. Imagine trying to beat a maze like this. This would be hell. This would be purgatory, probably. I think I've seen purgatory. This whole place.
Turn back from this
about Coda? What about Coda? Unless that's not their real name.
The cave goes for miles and miles and miles, and you're so tired, but
Wow, dude.
I know that you're strong.
Davey, this project was awesome.
So turn back.
Well, if Coda actually exists, I really hope you and him make up, you know? Because this has been a really amazing project. These are an amazing collection of games that he made. And you're a good person for caring, even though maybe you could have listened to them more. I don't know. So that's it, huh? That's where it ends. So that's what the light post meant. Man, I gotta play this again. This was amazing. I guess it just goes to show how you try so hard. Man, this game hits me like very hard, you know, in multiple ways, you know. Me trying so hard to make friends, me trying so hard to be a good friend, trying so hard to make great projects and impressing people and everything, you know. This thing's everything. This game is everything. I think this game plays an important part of my life now. I gotta play it again one day. This was definitely something. And Davey, I thank you for making this. I don't know how Coda feels about it though, but I hope you and him make up and everything, you know? You two seem to be really great friends, and, you know, he must have really meant a lot to you if you made this for him, you know? Made this in hopes to get back in touch. Well, that's where I'm going to end it for now. So, thank you so much for watching this. This was an experience. I really suggest you playing this yourself. So I hope you didn't go through this the entire time, you know? Instead of watching this video, just go play the game, because this was definitely something big. It was more than just a documentary. To be honest, I can't really explain what it was. Was it fictional? Or was this an actual apology game or something? Well, we'll end this here, so thank you everyone so much for watching. Hugs all around. Talk to you later, alligators, and I'll talk all about you. Thanks.